Good evening, everyone. It is Tuesday night and time for us to talk about projectors because we're not going to go on any tangents. That's what you guys
We're not going to talk about the tattoos that we may or may not have.
Hey, hush, hush, hush. That was before the show. Stop it.
Yeah, we're not going to give any marital advice at all tonight.
P.S. Michael has a pretty cool tattoo, but you have to go find it on him.
Oh, this is not starting off well.
No, this is this.
Welcome to Tuesday Night with Ben Stowe, Michael. It really is good to have you on the show. Honestly, we've been friends for a long time, and when some viewers said we need to talk about projectors, I said I got a guy.
Very cool. It's great to finally make it onto the show.
Well, honestly, and of course, we know my other good friend, Donnie out in New York.
Yeah.
I thought, gosh, if there was any way I could have you both on here, but then I thought, well, then there's really no point in me being on here. So, so sorry, Donnie, you got the short stick this time.
You're the next one. Michael, pull your mic back like one notch. We're pegging out. We'll do that.
Still getting to the Bill Harmon School of Microphone Use.
Yes.
All right, got it.
Okay.
Radio station, heavily compressed.
So again, tonight we're going to be talking about projectors. We had a question come in. Somebody was asking a little bit about using projectors for things beyond projecting video on the wall for like a music video or something, using it for creating special effects. And of course, Ben, the first person he mentioned was Michael. And Michael, you did a presentation. Was it at the Las Vegas DJ show a year or two ago where you were talking about using projectors in different situations like that?
Yeah, actually, yeah. And just a couple of weeks ago at Mobile Beat as well, we did a really great one on sharing even some the newer technology and newer ideas that you can use projectors for. So that was a lot of fun.
I'm gonna have you pull that microphone a little closer, just to give you a little bit more here, because otherwise, Ben, he's gonna be so loud and he'll just continue to talk right over both of us.
Not a problem.
Talking about trade shows, my favorite trade show that Michael was exhibiting at was where he projected right over our booth a great big image that says "Cat is here."
Oh, she loved it too, didn't? Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Don't let her fool you. She likes the attention.
Well, because I kept talking to everybody, they kept coming up going, "Oh my God, I want that stand! I want the stand that your mount's on." And I said, "Well, you got to go talk to Intel FX. They'll order it for you. Where are they at?" And I go, "Just follow the sign."
See that arrow?
Yeah. I think it's funny that it didn't say Ben is here. It said Cat is here.
It's because we can never find you. You're just too much in demand. Everybody's got you. So I had to go to my girl Cat.
My disguises are working,
And she's much prettier than you. So
well, no doubt. I mean, I tell you what, between at Mobile Beat this year and viewers, I promise we're going to talk projectors any minute, but this is how it is. But gosh, with Kat and Katie and Jessica and Miranda and Olivia and Jamie, and I'm surprised anybody talked to me at all at Mobile Beat.
Is that why you had so much time to do a live show while in Vegas?
It didn't hurt. It didn't hurt.
Ben who?
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's all right. I've resigned myself to being useful. If you can't be handsome, you better be handy. So.
We met that man too.
We did. That's right. Yeah.
So Ben, let's talk a little bit about jumping in and talking a little bit about setting the stage with projector things, and then we'll turn it over to Michael to share some really cool ideas.
Well, I think, when you think about projectors and we think about the multitudes of ways that they're used, they're kind of used in a sort of a defined way. Even within that multitude, it's within a set of parameters that the engineers who build projectors sit down to accomplish. And then Michael says, "Yeah, forget all that. We're going to do it in a completely different way, but with some really amazing effects." And I think it's really interesting because, as usual, I'm going to have some great nerdy things to talk about. But I think really what people are interested in hearing is what Michael has to talk about. So
exactly. So we're going to get through the.
Yeah, just basically what I'm saying is suffer through what I've got to say, knowing that there's something better coming. Just hang on for that. So one thing I think is, and I don't really know how deep down the rabbit hole I want to go, but it just is worth noting that there are different ways of projecting an image, and you'll see things like DLP and LCOS and those types of and I kind of debated on how much of that we would get into, and I decided more or less, Michael, if something you want to touch on, if it has any relevance to your side, but I decided I would kind of skip it. I mean, you got DLP's got the spinny wheel, and then there's the dichroic mirrors with LCOS and that sort of thing. But I thought I would maybe touch on one of the things that we're hearing a lot about all of a sudden is laser projectors. And much in the same way that we're hearing about LED TVs, which is that's sort of old news now, but we see these different imaging technologies like LED and OLED and LCD. And really what we're talking about in the TV world there is just the difference in the way that light is made, with fluorescent tube versus LED backlight versus an actually lit pixel like OLED. But this show's not about TVs, it's about projectors. And so in the same way, we go from a high intensity discharge lamp to an LED light source for LED projectors. I mean, I have people all the time say, was that projector LED? And I said, no. And they don't even really know why they're asking. It just seems like they should be. They're
right.
Like, well, I feel like I should be. I'm like, and now I think there is more to be said about laser, which is probably the ghost of Christmas future because of the cost. But when we take a white high intensity discharge lamp or a white LED, and we light through like a DLP wheel or something like that, or even these dichroics I mentioned with LCOS and that sort of thing, only part of that visible light spectrum is used, and the rest is basically waste. Because we only have red, green, and blue pixels that we're actually producing. In laser, of course, we can have focused light as red, green, and blue light, and we don't have waste. So they're more efficient and tend to have some really vibrant colors because of that. So anyway, I just thought that was kind of fun to mention that part of the nerdery. Again, viewers, hang on, because Michael's coming. So.
Well, no, and to touch on the laser stuff, I'm excited about that technology, but it's just a matter of it progressing enough to be bright enough, because right now we're only seeing them in home theater kind of style projection where we can have really dimly lit atmospheres, and we're also seeing as projector companies doing the claims that it's 3 times brighter than a regular DLP projector because they're using 3 DLP chips, and it's the colors themselves are brighter because they're using the 3 separate chips, and they can kind of blast those chips with the right amount of light instead of it just blocking and creating a more dim purple or dim red, because those are just
right.
those are the colors that are just torment us when it comes to projecting them. So
I did see, and I don't know if you've seen this, maybe you have, but Optima, which is a brand you and I both like a lot, Optima has a new 8K laser projector just announced, and that thing really does look promising. I'm actually very excited about that. So, but again, the price ranges are still, I mean, you and I think both agree on the Optima EH515 is a great choice for a projector. And even at that, we have DJs that say, oh, that's kind of expensive. And I'm like, no, actually, that's pretty cheap in the world of projectors, really. I mean, so I don't think we're ready to talk to people about laser projectors. But I think you're right. As they become more ubiquitous and the development continues, the price will come down. And I think it is maybe the future of projection technology. So.
Yeah, I mean, 10 years ago, we couldn't even imagine getting a 5,000. I mean, think about it. We can get a 5,000 lumen projector for like $1,800.
Yeah.
10 years ago, you'd probably have to spend like $10,000 to get a 4,000 lumen projector. And that was, 720 by 480 in resolution.
Yeah.
And it's just ridiculous. It continues to go up. And one of the lines I used at the conference was, come on, DJs, I understand that you want to set a budget and stuff, but remember, this is a professional tool that we're using. Yeah. So don't cheap out on me on this. I've seen people spend $200 more just to have a little blinky button on a controller that they really wanted. And yet they don't want to invest in the tool.
Buy once, cry once, deliver better results and you have more clients. And anyway, that we're getting ahead to your thing. One kind of fun thing, because it always reminds me of Lambert the Lion. I don't know why, it's just such an obscure reference, but is determining how much brightness is necessary. And again, we're thinking now more about in the conventional sense. But if we take the number of ANSI lumens divided by the square footage of the screen, that will give us a value called a foot Lambert, and that will tell us how bright the image actually is. And so that's kind of a useful thing. And another good little thumb sketch thing to stick in your pocket is 5 times the ambient foot candles is what you have to be perceived as bright. Now, of course, a lot of times, Michael, you're working in dark rooms and that sort of thing, and that helps because it's obviously much easier to control the ambient light than it is to create 20,000 lumens, Anyway, all right. So I actually wrote these down just because I wanted to make sure I got this right. Some of it I have committed to memory, but I don't necessarily trust my memory. There are different projection distances, sort of classifications, ranging from ultra short throw. And I want to explain this a little bit because this is one place that people are messaging me all the time and they're getting hung up on. So hopefully this becomes a place where we can sort of stretch this out. So we have ultra short throw and a ratio, and these are not hard and fast rules, but kind of averages, maybe a ratio of 0.25 to 1. Short throw, maybe 0.5 to 1. A standard throw at 1.0 to maybe 2.5 to 1 ratio. And if these ratios don't make sense to you, good, because that's what we're coming to next. So just hang tight. And then long throw at 2.5 to maybe 8.5. All right. So ratios. Here's the part that gets everybody. But this will make it so much simpler. And by the way, there's an app for this too. You would take the width of your screen. Mind you, of course, there's 16 by 9, 4 by 3, 16 by 10. There's different aspect ratios, but let's just take the width of your screen, okay, times the ratio, and that will tell you the necessary projection distance. So if you have a 10-foot wide screen with a 1.0 standard throw ratio, your projector needs to be 10 feet back from the screen. Okay, everybody got that? Yep, right. I mean, I can't hear you anyway, so but you can comment. You can leave your comments. Talk to John. He's carefully scanning the chat boards.
I'm working on
All
that.
Right. So now let's say that you don't have 10 feet. So we would then have to use a short throw or an ultra short throw. And just to make an ultra great example, let's use the ultra short throw. How many more times I can put the word ultra in a sentence? But if we still have our 10-foot wide screen and we have an ultra short throw projector with a ratio of 0.25, that means now instead of 10-foot projection distance, we only need 2.5 feet of projection distance to fill that 10-foot wide screen, which is great. Then you say, well, why would anybody want anything longer than that? Well, remember, these are built for lots of applications. We do lots of churches where we're shooting across the entire congregation or auditoriums. So sometimes long throw is necessary too. We want to narrow that beam and project it a longer distance. And so if we went to a long throw with an 8.5 ratio, then we would have 85 feet instead of 10 feet to fill that 10-foot wide screen. So anyway, that's some of the nerdery I just wanted to touch on about projectors and projection type. A couple of things, I got some pictures for you here. Contrast ratio, and I'm getting ahead, and Michael's going to do a lot on contrast ratio. I just know he hasn't tipped me off to this, but I just know he will because I know how important it is to what he's doing. But I want to share this screen real quick. Because I'm not going to talk about the contrast ratio of the projector. I'm going to leave that to Michael. I'm going to talk about something you may or may not have noticed when you look at projection screens. Again, in the traditional sense where we have a screen and we're projecting on a screen, sometimes we use white scrims or transformants and that sort of thing. But check this out. All right. Got my screen?
I do. We're seeing contrast.
Does either of the two images pictured appear to have more contrast to you?
Well, the right one seems to have a little bit more. The dark shadows seem to be just a little more prominent. Yeah,
and that's exactly what psychology would tell us should be the case. that's the reason you see black borders. One of the reasons you see black borders around projection screens. The other, of course, is it makes it easier to hide any bleed or whatever. But really, one of the more prominent reasons is by simply, you can do this on your own at home, little science fair, by simply putting a black border around the image, we improve the perceived contrast ratio to our own eye. So a fun little nugget there. While I've got the screen up, let's just move on to resolution. And here we see two pictures of a tree. I'm just going to move this. There we go.
The left one is us drinking and the right one is us stone sober. Is that it?
Yeah, maybe. Well, we all know what John is doing before the show. And you know what? Let's be honest, viewers. If you had to do a show with me, you'd probably drink too. So, and then Michael, it's a good night for a real bender for John. Basically what we're talking about here when we talk about resolution is the number of pixels in a given amount of space, the amount of information actually being projected. And that's really important because we're taking this small image and we're blowing it up very, very big. And again, if I know Michael, I know he's going to elaborate on this quite a bit. So I'm going to keep it simple. Let's just, here we go. Take a look at this. We'll come back to those other ones in a second. Here we can see, and this is a video screen, but fundamentally it's the same thing. This is a TV screen. On the left, you can see that there are larger and fewer pixels, and on the right, you can see smaller and more pixels.
Yes.
The one on the right is going to give you a much higher resolution screen. If you've ever sat too close to an LED screen at a stadium or a concert, you know what I mean, And then just for fun, I thought, because we talk about these things all the time, resolution, and we hear things like, WXGA and XGA and VGA and SVGA and all those wonderful things. I've just tried to demonstrate here in this drawing. These are some slides I pulled out of a presentation I did some years ago, so I dusted them off for you. We can see, well, I dusted off the digital dust, John's over there making faces at me.
They're like, tell me when Ben is done with the technical stuff.
You know what? It doesn't even hurt because it doesn't even hurt. You need this stuff. I have accepted my role as the industry's.
Yep, you're Mr. Science tonight, and
tonight.
Well, yeah, you're the science side of it, and then Michael's
the eye candy, but
yeah.
I don't have any hidden tattoos.
Hey.
All right. So anyway, we can see here 1080p how much more information that is. 720p is also considered a high def, but 1080p really you can see how much more high def it is, and you can see especially compared to VGA information. So again, I don't want to get into, I know Michael, I know he's going to touch on some of this stuff. I hope he will. I'm sort of setting him up here. He's going to talk about why that's important. But then as we look at the Ghost of Christmas Future, we can see now how much more information is contained in 4K. And of course, there's emerging technologies beyond that. So, and by the way, I don't think you need a 4K projector right now. I think that's not what I'm saying, but it gives you a sense of how much more information is contained there.
But if you want me to test one, just
just send it to you.
Yeah, I'll send you the address. We'll get you.
I have
taken care
of. Address it to Tony Stark. All right. So with that, John, if we don't have any questions, if we only have people begging for you to quit, I will oblige.
They're waiting for the special effects and fun.
All right. Well, good.
I think there's probably a million questions.
Like, how do I get these 20 minutes of my life back?
Here, how about this? What I'll do is I'm going to give you guys what I call just technology.
There you go, Robin.
An explanation for dummies. I'm not calling you guys dumb. This is my geek.
What did Robin have to say real quick?
Yes, Robin said Ben's info is important when buying the right projector.
Thank you, Robin.
That's the only way I learned. So what I did is I put together just kind of a basic thing, and I just have this on the screen for a little bit, just so that if you need to, you can pause at a later date and go back and reread this. But basically what this is kind of explaining, it's just like, for example, the term native resolution. The reason this is important is because this is going to actually tell you what Ben was talking about, the actual numbers of pixels on the projector. And so with what a lot of stuff that Ben does is, he's doing permanent installs, he's doing tours, he's using these projectors for what they were intended for, which is usually video and stuff. And what I did is I said, what else can we actually use these things for? Is how far can we take this? And I think you have to understand what a projector is first, and what it can do to come up with unique and different ideas for this stuff. So, the first thing is that we know that a projector is a light source, right? And we can control exactly what it shows. We can control what it does, and what it actually projects. We can also control where we're projecting onto. So going back to the slide here, native resolution shows you the actual pixel count on whatever technology it is, DLP and so on. So most of our TVs out there used to be 1920 by 1080, and now everybody's getting the 4K stuff, but which is just double those two numbers. And the reason I say native resolution is important is because there's a lot of, when you're shopping for projectors, there's a lot of projectors that will tout, 1080p. And that may be what, the resolution it can accept, but it may not mean that that's what it can actually project. And that's kind of the difference. That bottom one, maximum resolution, that is what the projector can accept as far as a signal, and native resolution is the actual pixel count that it can project. Brightness, so lumens, this is also really, really, really important because we're using these projectors to make images much, much larger than what they were intended for. Ben touched on the difference between like a regular throw projector, a short throw projector, and an ultra short throw projector. And, for some of the stuff I do, ultra short throw projectors are just unrealistic because you get this insane picture size from like a half a foot away. But if you took that same projector, usually the farthest distance that they're able to project is like a foot and a half on the ultra short throws. So if you go beyond that, then all of a sudden it's out of focus really fast and you can't have an image that you can use. So usually the picture size, the image size that you can actually project is much smaller on the ultra short throws. So, if you're using them for like DJ facades or rear projection screens, those are, the probably some of the best projectors you can get for that. You also notice that the lumens on those are much lower than on a regular throw projector. It's because you don't need the power. I mean, you're only projecting a foot and a half. So we're not projecting 30 feet across the room or 40 feet across the room. So we don't need as much power to have a really, really bright image. Throw ratio, Ben touched on that as well. And then, keystone correction. I think that's one of the biggest questions. People still go, what's keystone? Yeah. And keystone is just kind of the basic term on it is you're taking an image. If you take a flashlight, shine it on the wall, you've got a perfect circle, right? If you point it directly ahead. If you start going to the right, all of a sudden it looks more like an egg. Well, what keystone does, it allows you to take that image and adjust it back to a perfect circle. And that's what we're doing with the projector. We're just, if we have to aim at an angle, I think all projectors do vertical keystone, and some projectors also have horizontal keystone or what they call four corner keystone. Mm-hmm. And that like is
like that EH515 that you and I both like so much.
That's my go-to projector right now is the EH515. And if I'm, and I'll be able to show you guys some pretty extreme, not horizontal, but vertical keystoning that I was able to do with that projector for an event here in just a little bit.
You guys want to get extreme?
Yes, man. and the cool thing is that there is technology out there as far as like even, programs and stuff, which is probably a whole nother show that we can use to also do keystoning, when we're using these for other stuff. But basically what I did is I just wanted to come up with all the new and weird ways that we can use this light source in order to have some fun at events.
Right.
So that's basically the easy cheat sheet there. As far as you guys want to go over some cool ideas to do at events.
Well, we could tangent for 20 minutes and then say, oh, we didn't have time to get to any cool stuff. We could ask Ben a question that included the answer, it depends, which could take 15 minutes. Or I suppose we could do it.
All right, let's just get into it. So
you're no fun.
Yeah, let's go with let's start with video. Because that's something that projectors were intended for. And with that, we're going to go into an event that I recently did. And this was a very basic, very white room. And when I was designing this with the clients, obviously we had to do some lighting in there just to warm it up. But they wanted to do a monogram. And the original, it wasn't even the monogram they wanted to do originally. It was doing, they wanted to show a video montage. And I said, okay, we could do that. There's not really any place to put a screen. And so because the walls were so white, I was like, we'll just project onto the wall.
Yeah.
It was a pretty smooth surface. And
Michael, I just want to toss this in real quick. This is another place where brightness matters so much. Again, video projectors are designed with the idea you're going to be using them with a screen. And we could spend an entire show on screens. And you notice we didn't mention them at all because we want to focus on some of these magic things that Michael's doing. But sheetrock and white paint do not really reflect light all that well.
Right.
You are losing a lot of that light energy into these surfaces. And as you add pigments in the paint, off whites and tans, you're losing even more of it. So brightness becomes really, really important.
Yeah. And, we're also doing images like I said, we're doing images much bigger than what they're intended for. So you lose brightness there as well. And we're projecting from distances that were greater than what they're designed for. And so in this one, we, in this photo here, basically the projector is just out of frame, but off on the left side wall here.
Okay.
And with this, I'm using Grand VJ in order to kind of make the corrections with this in this particular photo here. So the concept I presented to him is that we were going to do the montage, but what are we going to do? Why don't we have the projector there? Let's use it for other stuff. And so what I did is I, came up with a picture frame. We projected that on the wall because it just kind of matched the decor of the room. And then later on, when we went to show them on the video, then the video appeared inside that frame.
Nice.
And then when we started dancing and stuff, it just went back to the monogram for the rest of the night, but it just added to the atmosphere itself. And it was a way to have pretty much have a screen ready to go without letting people have any idea that we were going to show a video as a surprise later that night.
Have you guys seen that British reporter whose kids crashed the video?
Yeah.
That just about happened.
Yeah.
Well, they wouldn't be able to see it because the three of us are off camera. We can see each other.
Good.
But
because I gave the look. I gave the look that says, don't even think about it.
And something that people also, we've seen photos and video of, let me fast forward this here, of like, my screen sharing is paused. Let's go ahead and resume share, but
there you go. Yep, we see it.
I need to switch to Windows Media. And so we've seen cake mapping, being able to project onto another white surface that's not intended to be projected onto. And we've also gone through and move on to the
so Michael, how much time did it take for you to set that up for that mapping for a cake like
so
that?
The actual mapping of the cake I can usually do in about 20 minutes. And that is, drawing the squares. We're using Grand VJ XT for that, and drawing the squares on the cake, and then linking those squares basically together to create one continuous video screen that looks normal.
So do you capture like a picture of the cake and then bring that in and then draw the like a framework around it?
No, I have some dummy cakes that I use. So if I know it's 5-tier, I might use that as just for, testing purposes and for coming up with the concept or idea that, I want to do at the event.
Right.
But what I do is I take all those elements. So for example, the blue icing on this is one element, and it could be a JPEG image. The monogram is another element. It could be, and that is also like a PNG file. And when I get to the event, we create the screen, and then all I have to do is go, okay, I want this video playing on this. And it will, that then you're doing your work ahead of time, basically. Right. So
I don't want to take anything away. I don't want to take anything away from the amazing results that Michael has produced. I think they speak for themselves. But I think he'll agree with me when you say this is actually incredibly easy. Again, he's done some incredibly dynamic things with it, but when you talk about, cake mapping, that sort of thing, like what he's talking about, it's not witchcraft or alchemy or something, the software, was a lot. Now, of course, his 20 minutes includes years of experience and practice, it's just like in anything you do, but,
well,
Michael, yeah, it's offended by me saying how easy it is, but
not at all. That's the secret. Practice. Don't just show up to an event going, "Hey, I've got the equipment. Let's figure out how to use it."
Well, we just lost half our viewers.
Yeah.
Actually, probably not our viewers. I will say that. I think our viewers are a dedicated bunch. They've endured 2 years of me and my nerdery, but my gosh, we see these folks, out there in the world that'll do that. Oh, I just got this brand new thing I ordered from you today, Ben, and I decided to try it out at the gig. How do I use it? Like,
oh no. Yeah. I get that a lot whenever we're doing monographs, or if I send someone one and I get the text on the weekend on Saturday at my event, and they're like, I'm not sure. Something's not working. And so every single email I send out, even if I've done it a million times, always says, again, make sure you test this out on the equipment you're going to use at the event ahead of time, and let me know if you have any questions before the weekend.
Yes.
We talked about projectors being a light source, and the video I think you guys are seeing right now is actually just using 2 projectors to create a light show at an event. And it's, go back here and loop this. So, and using just some, visual effects that, if for example, you want a spotlight, all you have to do is have an image of a round white dot, and you created a spotlight. It's going to do the same thing. These are obviously going to look better, just like with lighting, with haze that I have going on in for this event. But the difference is all of a sudden the next weekend when I want to do something different, I just figure out new content to show instead of swapping things out. And sorry, Ben, I just cut your sales in half. No, hey, projector sales went up, but we're not selling any DJ lights anymore.
That's all right. I mean, this show has been dedicated to educating, our customers and letting them make educated decisions. So, again, we're talking about obviously, trading $100 DJ light for a $1,500 projector. Somebody might not see the value in that, but anyway, I think your point is well made about the versatility.
Right.
Michael, somebody was asking about the stand that you were using in the prior with the wedding where we were looking at the dance floor.
Right. So there's 2 pieces to that. One is it's an Altman lighting stand. And I always want to say, I don't even think they have a product number on it, do they, Ben? It's just the Altman lighting stand.
Well, let me tell you what, we have something newer and better.
Oh, cool.
Yes. And actually, John, we showed it in our NAMM video. It's from K&M Stands, has a flat base with rubber feet, so you don't scratch the floor or anything like that. And it has a slotted handle that makes it easier to carry.
Nice.
Yes, and the pole threads in. It's very, very stable and very solid. So
You have my credit card number on file. Why do I not have this?
you'll have a bunch of them tomorrow. Yeah, something new. These just came out, and they're really fantastic. Katie, I know, had worked on some special pricing for them because we figured it was going to be a hot topic. And I'm glad you mentioned the stand, because, or maybe as a viewer that mentioned it, because honestly, I didn't even think to throw that in the show tonight. But yes, these are perfect for that.
Yeah. And I think, of course, you have to have something that's going to hold the projector. So hopefully John won't mind me.
No, please go ahead.
And so what's holding the projector on there is is what I designed, which is the X2.
You're going to need to stop sharing so you can show that, because only the two of us can see you. There we go. Now we can see you.
All right.
And I'm gonna put you to full screen so Ben and there we go. So everyone can see that very well.
And so what we have here is basically the X2 projector mount. And this is it's basically a two-piece design. So the first thing is going to be our mounting plate, and this really, really thin basically will just, because of this design, will mount to any projector pretty much under 20 pounds. And this will live on your projector itself. So when you get to the event, you basically just take your pole mount, and this will fit onto any standard lighting or speaker stand, or the new stand that Ben's going to charge on my account and send me soon. Basically included on this. So you put that on your stand, and then there's a couple cool features about it. Number one, when you slide it on, you'll hear a click noise, and that basically locks this plate on. So when you're at an event and it's at the end of the night and you're really tired and you loosen it, it doesn't fall all the way off until you hit the release button on the side. So once you get it on, the other cool thing is that it's a ball mount, so it will give you everything from 90 degrees straight down to anything in between there. So it really does make it to where you can position your projector any angle you need to do for that event, regardless of what you're using it for. If it's just video, it works great on a smaller tripod, and to be able to show video montages or onto a screen, or fit one of the stands to get it up above people's heads and out of the way. So
Ben, we'll need to get a model number if you can dig that up on the stand you were just talking about from Canon.
Oh yeah,
these mounts are only available from Michael, but I'll tell you, even though we carry projector stand mounts, I have referred, I don't know, dozens, hundreds of people to Michael to say, you know what, honestly, get his, integrity first, and it's an amazing mount. You saw it. So.
Well, thank you, sir. It was definitely a labor of love, and it came out of necessity. I mean, it was just, it started with a little, garage project, and then it went to kind of full blown production.
So did Apple Computer, by the way.
Yes, that's. I don't think this is going to catch on like that.
The next job, ladies and gentlemen, right here.
Yeah, I'm not the next Bill, I was going to say Bill Gates. That would be completely wrong. Steve Jobs. So we've got, like the question is, we got the tools there. Let's see. So, and we talked about, lighting design itself. Another cool, fun thing would be, let's go back to, all of a sudden now we're able to actually, change the atmosphere in a room. This was a themed event. It was Alice in Wonderland. And, we were able to, project onto the curtains at this facility. And, this was just done with two projectors, one pointed up top, one pointed, towards the middle. And, throughout the night, those clocks, I wish I had video footage of this, because, the clocks were going crazy and spinning around. And, the middle photo would change to, like, all of a sudden little cat eyes would appear.
Oh, cool.
And then a big smile would appear on the screen, and it would be the cat itself. So, we're the end up being, the possibilities become almost endless, and we're able to do things that would have almost been nearly impossible to do with traditional style lights because of the motion that we can do.
Yeah.
And I think it's also important that this isn't the best for all situations. It is a big disclaimer to say, this works for a lot of stuff that I do, but because I took the time to just figure out what the equipment can do and can't do, I know what I can recommend to the clients, and I know what I would need if I'm projecting, 100 feet and I want that image really, really bright during the day. I'm probably going to use a specialized lens and a real powerful source 4 to do go back to that for doing a monogram. You just have to know what it can be used for. And that's also why, I always say, just don't cheap out on me, man. Don't 3,500 lumens works for, some situations, and probably, if you can control the lights, you'll probably be pretty good. But wouldn't you rather just have the equipment that will work for any of the events you're going to do, instead of having to rent something at the last second because miscalculated how long the sun was going to be up during that time of the year?
Yep.
Yeah, when you look at this is my thinking, Michael, and I've done events for 24 years. You and I, we're not just making this stuff up. When I look at effects like your Alice in Wonderland, and I look at the dynamic ability to control the space, which is what we're paid to do, and I look at an EH515 at $17.99 or whatever. If that's hard to justify for you, then maybe there's another opportunity for you to think about this differently. I'm trying to think of a nice way to say it, but I think you're missing the point. You should be able to charge it for that effect right there. Thank you, Michael. I mean, my goodness, if you're not able to make money with an $1,800 projector doing events like that, you are grossly underselling yourself.
Yeah.
I mean, gosh, I don't know. John, I've been selling to DJs for 24 years, and I talk to DJs all over the world daily. And it's amazing to me how I can talk to two people in the same market, and one guy will tell me what can't be done. Meanwhile, the other guy's ordering 4 of these things, and saying, I'm killing it right now.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you guys are a mile apart. What's the difference? And, honestly, even though it's not my shtick, sometimes I think sales itself is the most understated thing in our industry. The equipment, obviously having the right tool for the job gives you something to sell, but having the ability to go out and sell it makes a really big difference. I don't know. This is just me, but it really breaks my heart when I hear DJs say, well, I throw this stuff in just to get the gig. And I think, my gosh, because I know the guy down the street is charging good money for it and making good money. I want all of you to be successful. I want you all to be making good money. It's not that I want to sell you the best gear. I want you to own the best gear. There's a tangible difference in what it can do, how it performs. And there's a collective bar that a lot of people have worked to raise in the industry for the betterment of everybody. So there's my little rant, but I'm man, if you think $1,800 for projectors expensive, just take a moment and rethink the whole thing, Yeah,
it's, and when I talk with clients about these things, I use this not as a sales tool as far as throwing stuff in, but what I do is I bring them in during the consultation and I show them all the possibilities, and I say, there's almost endless possibilities of what we can do for your event. And then I follow that up with all the stuff you've seen here. You don't have to have for your wedding to have a great wedding reception. Mm-hmm. Why? Because we're going to work together and create a fun and unique wedding event. And this stuff is just, pretty. And so if you want to enhance your event, hey, I'm here to do that for you guys as well. But if you start to go, hey, I'm going to go with a little bit cheaper DJ in order to get, this lighting, then you're cutting yourself short, because your guests are just going to end up leaving early, and they're not going to enjoy the prettiness of it anyway. So then just by having the knowledge and showing them, look, this is stuff we can do. We'll cover it during our planning meeting on what you want and don't want to do. That will boost the sales anyway, and you don't have to throw the stuff in. So I do fully agree, though. If you're first getting into it, start with the basics. Start with a static monogram or static something, and then build yourself up. If you go too big all out of the gate, you get frustrated, and then you want to throw it all away and move on to something else. And having the knowledge just step by step, that's how I learned. I mean, it's just doing one thing and then adding something else, figuring something else out.
And I want to clarify what you said there when you're saying start with the basics. Absolutely, start where you're comfortable, but don't start with substandard equipment, or you're also going to get really frustrated.
Yeah,
start out with something that you can grow your talents with. Because again, the price difference just isn't that much. Get the right tool for the job to begin with. Another good analogy is cheap guitars. People who buy unplayable guitars and then have a hard time learning how to play guitar. Now I'm not saying go out and buy a $2,000 guitar. I don't sell guitars, by the way, just, disclaimer, but, if you get something that produces substandard results, you're going to have a hard time enticing clients that will pay you what you need to make. And proof's in the pudding. Cause we talked about my friend Donnie earlier. I don't know Donnie's story all that intimately, but I don't think he is, was born with a huge checkbook. But he's got like 13 or 14 projectors now. Michael, you got a fleet of these things. I mean, obviously the work is coming in,
Yeah, they pay for themselves really quick. And I don't think I've ever changed. Here's the sad part. I don't think I've ever changed a projector bulb.
I'll put a couple in with the poles I'm sending out tomorrow.
Yeah, they last too damn long. And so, it's incredible. It's just an incredibly useful tool. And regardless if you just use it for doing, videos at events, having that tool that you can, but you have to use it as an upsell. If you're just throwing it in, then now you're just bringing more stuff.
Yeah.
And add value to it.
Yep. Got to have more profit. I mean, why don't, it's a tangent I've been trying to avoid for 24 years. That belongs with the Gittimers and the Mark Farrells and those folks. But, again, it pains me because I'm on the other end of that where I'm trying to help DJs afford gear that they would like to have. That's where it facilitates from. So,
Ben, did you have that K&M, that stand that we had the model number on it or anything?
I don't.
They're searching for it and I can't find it.
Here's what you need to search for. Either type an email to Katie, Katie at nlfxpro.com, or find Katie Lynn Sabach on Facebook and message Katie or message me and I'll get the message to her. But Katie's got it memorized because she's sold a bazillion of these things. I don't know the model number, but I do know that Katie has a special offline deal, and I don't even know what that is. But
I might have tracked down a manufacturer number, but just I think it's the Starline light stand is what they call it, I believe.
Yeah, there's a couple different. You can buy the base separately in different length poles, or there's a package with the pole and the base. So yeah, I think it starts with 2 and then it's 5 numbers long. I don't know, but
yeah,
yeah. So it's,
anyway, listen. Don't listen to us.
That's it. That's it. Michael had it right there. That's the.
That is it. Okay, good.
That is it. Yep, I remember from the show. So.
And there's a lot of like Ben said, there's a lot of options. So that's why you want to talk to the salespeople and say, this is what I'm using it for. They'll be able to get the right size pole and stuff. So you're not, having it show up with a 5-foot pole and going, oh well, this isn't
right. Talk to Katie. Katie. Listen, I am a touring audio engineer. Okay. We've got guys granted, I know we just talked about video, it isn't rocket science, but we've got people in our office that have broadcast backgrounds. They've been engineers at TV stations. Man, we got video people upon video people. We got lighting people. We got Katie, who's just fantastic. So yeah, just message Katie. I don't know what the poll is. I'm sorry.
That's okay. I think we've got enough, and we put her Facebook. I put her link there, so you guys can go hit that and message her from Facebook.
Besides, imagine how awesome it'll be tomorrow when I see her at the office and she's pulling her hair out because there's 500 Facebook messages. I will really enjoy that.
Yes. And I'll do a little review and promo video on the mount when it arrives, or the stand itself. And if you don't mind, John, since like Ben said, right now we only have the X2 available in one area, and that's at livingmotionmonograms.com.
Living Motion Monograms, grams plural, correct?
Yes, both work.
Okay, I put that link up there for everyone.
Very cool. Thank
you.
They
can do that. Guys, we're running out of time.
What?
We've got like 4 minutes, and then we got to switch over.
Well, we'll just bump the next person. Who is it? Is it Matt Damon? Is it Matt Damon?
It's
we got to bump Matt Damon.
Nobody bumps Brian S. Red. You don't put Brian S. Red in the corner.
Yeah, Brian is coming up next here in just a few.
Very cool.
Brian is he's the fluff. That's what he said. He's the fluff.
I appreciate you guys letting me follow along with you today, and I'll also be checking in on the chat area, and if there's questions and stuff that I can answer, I'll chime in there as well.
Yeah, no, I think we've handled most of them. They were talking, the base is what they were trying to figure out, and I think we got enough there for them to. Oops, I got to switch. There we go. Got to switch windows. Sorry. Yeah, they'll be able to find things, and now and they've got Katie's information. They've got to get the mount. So we're sitting well. We done good.
Well, Michael,
Nice.
Thank you so much for agreeing to come on. I appreciate it a bunch. It's always a pleasure to see you. I know we just saw each other for 10 seconds in Vegas. But anyway, appreciate you a bunch coming on here and speaking to your area of expertise and some of the really cool things that you've done. So
thanks, buddy. I appreciate it. Anytime.
And thank you guys for watching. We will be back in about 5 minutes with Brian S. Red. The link is in the description below. You guys can go click on that. And during that time, go click on that NLFX Pro link there. It'll show you the projectors that Ben's got. And some of the ones we've talked about tonight are on that list. So,
And I don't know if our special price is on there, but that's something else you can ask Katie or myself about. We do have that special price on the Optima EH515, which is a stellar unit, 5,500 lumen, horizontal and vertical keystone. 1080p. It's the one that Michael owns. This isn't a sales pitch. We're telling you, it's the tool you should have. So,
5,500 lumen and 1080p.
Yep.
A real
thing.
Wow.
As always, we have financing to help you out if you're just getting going and you need to cash flow out a little bit. So, we just one more thing to think about.
Yep.
But some of the deals we don't put on our website. They might be on there, I don't know, but some of them we kind of keep just between us, so.
Hit Katie up, gang, and we'll be back in about 5 minutes. Thanks for being with us tonight.